few weeks ago on our program, we featured the Chinaberry tree, and we told you that it was an undesirable plant because it had a lot of bad qualities. Well, on today's program, we're going to feature a few more of those trees that don't really perform well here in our Oklahoma landscapes. Lots of times on our program, we show you trees with good qualities that we do recommend for planting, but we thought it would also be a good idea to show some plants or some trees that you should maybe stay away from. Now, if you have any of these undesirable trees in your landscape, we're not scolding you in any way. We just hope to let you know some of the problems that you can expect and maybe steer you towards planting some more desirable species in the future. But once again, the Chinaberry is a plant that all parts are poisonous. It has weak, brittle wood, and it's very weedy or invasive. The silverleaf maple is an undesirable tree that unfortunately is planted quite a bit in Oklahoma. The trees have weak wood, and they're also notorious for having surface roots. They have an aggressive, shallow root system, and it's not uncommon to see them running along the top of the ground out in our lawns. They sometimes break up sidewalks and driveways, and it's also common to find them clogging up sewer lines and drain lines. These trees are planted quite a bit because they grow very fast. They can grow up to 6 to 8 feet a year, and usually whenever you hear that characteristic of a tree of being fast growing, it's usually coincided with being very weak wooded. The silverleaf maple, an undesirable, unrecommended tree for planting in Oklahoma. A large majestic tree that we unfortunately don't recommend planting in Oklahoma is the cottonwood. It's another tree that grows very fast, so it's going to have weak wood, and it has the prolific root system as well. Very notorious for clogging sewers and drains. I think I've told you the story before about the home where the commode was pushed up off the floor in the bathroom, and it was traced to the roots of a cottonwood tree 70 feet from the home. So that's what you can maybe expect by planting one of these trees. Now, one of the desirable qualities of the cottonwood is the way the tree's leaves dangle and make noise when the wind blows through them. But otherwise, a tree that we don't recommend planting. An attractive pine tree that was planted in Oklahoma quite a bit in the mid to late 80s is the Austrian pine. Well, unfortunately, it's not really recommended anymore because of its problems with pine wood nematode. The trees will succumb to this disease in about 2 or 3 weeks. Once they're infected, the whole thing will turn brown. The Japanese black pine is also a pine that has problems with the pine wood nematode. In my 8 years of being associated with Oklahoma gardening, we've lost about 5 Japanese black pines either in or around the garden. It's really sad to see those beautiful trees go. The Scotch pine and Japanese red pine are a couple other pines that do not fare well here in Oklahoma. So unfortunately, pines are really taking it on the chin here in our state. The pin oak is a tree that grows well over in far eastern Oklahoma. It's actually native to those parts of the state, but it's not really recommended in central and western Oklahoma because of their problems with iron chlorosis. The trees just aren't very efficient at extracting iron from soils that have a high pH or alkaline soils. The Shumard oak is a much better choice for these parts of Oklahoma. So unless you live in the far eastern part of the state, we don't recommend planting the pin oak. The Siberian elm is an Asian species of elm that actually has a tough root system. It's very drought resistant. We see them growing well out in the panhandle of Oklahoma and well into New Mexico. Now, some of the reasons that it is not recommended is because, as you can see, the wood is somewhat weak. This one was broken up pretty bad from our last ice storm. Another problem with the Siberian elm is the elm leaf beetle really likes feeding on the leaves. They can just really do a lot of damage in the hot summertime, really skeletonize the leaves of the Siberian elm. Probably the main reason this tree should be passed over is because there are some better species of elm that could be planted, like the lacebark elm or cedar elm. Probably the most widely planted and still continuously planted tree of these undesirable species we're going to show you is this one right here, the Bradford pear. And this was a tree that was highly promoted through the 60s and 70s, but now we know that it's genetically defective. You can see right back here what happens with these trees. All the branches just seem to come out at the same place on the trunk. As they get older, they start to push each other apart. And right down here, you can see the huge split on the trunk developing from having this occur. It's not uncommon to drive around a community the size of Stillwater after we've had a large windstorm and see about 10 Bradford pears laying on the lawns where they've just split in two. The Bradford pear is, of course, a type of calorie pear, and there are some more improved selections. For instance, the Aristocrat calorie pear is a much better selection to plant in your garden. Another undesirable tree species is the tree of heaven, like we've got right here. Now, these are rarely offered for sale anymore, but if you have a neighbor or someone who wants to give you one, don't take it and plant it. The trees are recognizable by these long, pinnately compound leaves, and if you crush one of those up and smell it, it definitely smells like something other than heaven. But they are weak-wooded, and right here is one of the main reasons it's not recommended. It's very weedy. This is an Asian species, so it's an invasive species here in our country. And right here along this creek in this park, we can probably count 100 or more tree of heaven seedlings coming up in this area. And we trace these all to a large tree of heaven right down the block. So stay away from the tree of heaven. Right here is the mimosa, and although this is a tree that I grew up with at my grandfather's garden, it's a tree that's today not recommended. There are city ordinances in some places that prohibit planting of the mimosa. It does have showy foliage and showy flowers, but right down here you can see what else it produces a lot of. It just makes a lot of seeds. So there are a lot of seedling mimosas in this area as well. The mimosa also has weak wood, and when the plants get older, they suffer from mimosa wilt disease. So they're not going to live very long anyway. So if you have any of these trees, maybe we've shown you some problems that you can expect down the road. And if you want to find a list of really good trees, you can check out any of our Oklahoma proven selections over the last 5 years. You could also call your county extension office for an approved list of trees for your area.